From government of service to government of self-service. It didn't take them long, but Labour has got there very, very quickly. The latest shock news coming out from government is that obviously Reeves lied to the nation over the state of our finances. I don't think anyone's particularly shocked. Probably the more shocking thing is the fact that she got caught out. How she thought that she was going to start lying the way that she had and then exit out of that lie is slightly beyond me. But it looks like Starmer's being caught bang to rights at the same time. She certainly decided to throw him under the bus at the same time on the weekend news rounds, where she said explicitly that he was aware of what she was saying and of everything that happened. They definitely have, though, tried to get, at the moment, they are definitely trying to cover it up, like the sacking or forced resignation of the head of the OBR and much, much more. Is she a goner? Don't know. Initially, I said no, but I wonder if it will do. If she will do. The big change is probably the fact that the BBC and Channel 4 News have turned on the government, which, to be honest, if those two stenographers have decided to go for the Labour government, you know that they're probably in a great deal more trouble than they thought they were. What's going for Labour is the Omni scandal, which is their new media strategy that they've been clearly focused down on for at least the last 12, well, pretty much since they came into power. That is the fact that they have so many scandals per week. No single scandal actually ever gets any real traction because by that stage, a new one's arrived. I don't know. I literally don't know. What I would say is the fact that I don't think it substantially makes huge amounts of difference. She is now damaged goods in terms of her reputation and her trust from the public. Certainly the markets will not trust her anymore. That's a massive problem for any Chancellor of the Exchequer. So, whether she goes now or she goes in 6 months' time, along with Starmer after the May elections, time will tell. The actual budget is panning out pretty much as I said that I expected it would do. The general rule of thumb is everyone thinks it was a good budget. It normally will blow up over a period of time. Certainly what you're beginning to see is that the Labour government, or the PLP particularly, cheered on everything in the budget. And then, as I put on Twitter, they returned to their constituencies and probably were found out the fact that it was about as popular as a pork chop in a synagogue. And that's really where we are now. They are just starting to sense just how angry and incensed a great deal of people are. To be honest, if you look at the last 18 months, about the only three groups of people that Labour has looked after has been the public sector, the welfare recipients, and certain ethnic minorities that they're desperate to try and hold on to, like the bloc Muslim vote. Obviously migrants, but that goes without saying. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I think the clock is ticking down until when Parliament stands, or rises as the term is. Can she survive until then? Yeah, possibly. It depends what else comes out. The OBR was in Parliament today, sticking the knife in a little bit more. But as I said, I don't think it makes huge amounts of difference. The damage has been done. Not just to her, but also to Starmer. Though, to be honest, by this stage, saying the damage has been done doesn't really cut through because they're both so unpopular, it really doesn't make much difference. And no one trusts any of them anymore. And I think this was always going to be the way to a certain extent from this budget, but the way it's gone down is even worse and more destructive to public trust than even I'd thought. An absolute shambolic process all the way from beginning to end. A budget that was focused on making the PLP happy so they can keep their jobs instead of the problems of the nation, should disgust us all. And then coming out and finding out that they'd lied to the nation about the state of the finances. Again, any one of those things should be enough to make people appalled at this government. To have all three of them, it's a cathartic moment where a lot of people, millions of people will have gone, we're done here. this is now the challenge the government has. The Tories managed to get there after about 13 years. It's the moment where you cross the media event horizon. Um, and that's that moment where it doesn't make any difference what you say. No one is listening to you anyway. And I think we're pretty much there. Um, when I speak to people around the country, friends, family, and everything else, there's still a few supporters, but for the most part, bewilderment, contempt, anger, um, real visceral sense of betrayal, but not betrayal in the sense of that they've done something to them personally in a lot of cases, but more a sense of betrayal of why did you even bother getting elected? You clearly not got a clue. And that for me is a comment I've made before in pieces I've written, but also in videos. What is the point of being elected if you have no vision and idea of for the country? How dare you stand for government, for election to be the next government, if you've not actually taken the time in the moment to actually think about the problems that we've got as a country and actually coming up with solutions. There may be imperfect solutions, they may not be solutions I agree with, but at least have solutions. And that's really where I think that real sense of betrayal, like I said, comes in from a lot of people. I think all the way through this is really underpinning now is a growing sense of divide now between the governed and the governing. It started growing some time ago, but now it's yawning open into an absolutely catastrophic abyss of a gap or drop between the two sides. A real sense that Westminster is unable to even think about the problems that we have as a nation, let alone actually interact and deal with them. A sense that the political class, people say it all the time, they say, oh, well, they're in it for themselves, but I don't really believe that, because most of them don't make much money in real terms, and the advantages they get for standing are probably well and truly swallowed up by the many disadvantages. Let's be under no illusion, I would not want to be an MP, and I don't think anyone else who's sane would want to be an MP. But I think more than anything else, that real sense that it's their worldview against everyone else's, and everyone else be damned. But as I said, and migration was that moment where I really started seeing it, which was a real palpable sense that the country was moving in a different direction to the liberal classes, the chattering classes. And I think that you're starting to see the same on welfare as well. That real sense where people are just saying enough, we can't go on like this. And certainly I'm there. And I grew up in a family, that received welfare. I've paid in quite happily. I've been a higher taxpayer for most of my adult life. I've been very lucky to earn that money. I'm being very grateful and happy to pay back into the system that helped me and my family. But I have got to that stage now where it's enough. I'm struggling myself to make money, to make the money spread out all the time. But also the very visible waste in the system is frankly too much for me. And as you know, I said on Twitter, if you can't keep me in the tent, you definitely can't keep most other people. And I think that anyone that thinks that they're going to keep expanding the welfare state without radical, deep, and I mean deep reform, they're on a hiding to nothing on that one. They really are. So that's about it. We'll see. It's Christmas time. It's the season for giving, so that usually means there's at least one or two more shockers that are likely to come out. I have good days, and I have bad days. But actually, overall, I will say that I largely am quite positive about where we are. Not as in where the country is. The country looks like a hovel. It's overrun with people who shouldn't be here. It's governed by an incompetent, mendacious, and largely useless political class. The governing class, the broader governing class, aren't much better. Our institutions are rotten. Our energy system is cooked. List could go on. But I think the big thing that actually I'm positive about is the fact that I feel like we finally got a political movement. There are enough people now that are looking for change that I think change, when it comes, will come quite quickly. And I'm actually someone who's enormously bullish about the UK in terms of if we can get the right government in place. We have all of the tools we need, both politically, economically, and socially, to solve our many, many problems. Many of the problems can't be solved in a matter of one parliament or even two, but you could make a bloody good go at a lot of them, to be honest. You know, and if you can have a bloody good go at a lot of them, then I think the others, we can be put on a good track, and moving forward, we can move in a really good direction. To kind of play on Matthew Syed, who writes the Sunday Times, you know, it's all well and good the people who are leaving the country. I understand that feeling. I've looked at it. I've thought about it. I think about it. I'm not going to lie about that. However, this is my country. It is our country. If you love your country, you should be willing to fight for it. And all the little people who are disappearing off basically are saying that they haven't got the guts for the fight, or, well, it's a bit too personally uncomfortable for me financially. You know, I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm 45. I'm definitely not alone. My grandparents, my grandfathers both fought for this country in the Second World War. I've never looked into it, but I assume that my great grandparents or great great grandparents both probably fought in the First World War, and many more. That is, you know, we go back many generations in this country. If they had the guts to go fight for this country with their lives, then I have to say it's pretty pathetic that you're not willing to spew up a few extra quid for a few extra years, because you just can't cope with it and you're going to run off. If that's your thing, that's who you are, fine. But then I hope you don't come back when things turn around, because you don't deserve to be here. If you're not willing to fight for the country, don't be here. Anyway, that's me. Have a pleasant week. I'll speak to you soon.